Wow. When you talk about setbacks, I've got volumes of setbacks. A lot of times when you see people on social media, they have this highlight reel of everything that goes right. So let me give you an example of something that was completely wrong that I wasn't prepared for. Um, One day, after getting to a point where I lost about 230, 240 pounds, I'm in the gym and I get out of working out and I head to the sauna. And I'm sitting there, and my brother's life partner, she calls me and she says, "Hey, Dave, I got to send your brother to the hospital." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Because my brother was a cop. He was always strong, very resilient guy. Like we called him RoboCop because he didn't need much sleep, he didn't need much of anything, and he gotten himself a situation where something was wrong with his heart, and they had to replace the valve, and it wasn't working the way that it needed to. And I watched the strongest person I'd ever known, who was not only my brother, but an active father in my life because my father died when I was in my 20s. I watched him get very, very sick, very, very weak, and he died. And before he died, I was talking to his team of doctors, and they were telling me everything that was wrong. Well, Mr. Anderson, he needs this amount of blood. I'm like, well, I'm a perfect match. We can do that. And well, he needs a liver. And I'm like, okay, no problem. You can cut a piece of mine off. I read medical journals for fun. Like I'm a genius. Like let's get it popping. Or do we have the specialists we need to have? Like what do we need to do? And they said, Mr. Anderson, I understand your wife's a twin. I said, yes, she is. Even with twins, there are little variances that we can't necessarily account for without weeks and weeks of testing. And unfortunately, your brother doesn't have that. And I was, I was powerless. I had amassed all of this goals or whatever people think is success, and it was completely useless. And I went into a very, very deep depression because I had to be strong for my nieces and my nephew. I had to be strong for my family. I had to be strong for my 77-year-old mother. Um, and to top it all off, I had to eulogize my brother at his funeral on my wedding anniversary. And so when I tell you, you get yourself into this ego of what you think is supposed to happen and like nothing can hurt you. And then when something does, you're completely ill-equipped and ill-prepared. And it really, really messed me up for several months. I'm still not 100% now, but I've learned to deal. But it had definitely affected the way that I looked at life. It affected the way I looked at business. I didn't want to do anything anymore. I just wanted to sit in the corner like a protagonist in an after-school special and cry my eyes out every single day. So that was probably the toughest setback I've ever had to deal with.